regarding Julian's ball placement, and how would you assess his ability to get the ball in a spot for the receivers to continue with it, and how does that compare to past quarterbacks you've had?
I think that's one of the things we try to evaluate during the recruiting process, and when we're evaluating quarterbacks is ball placement. It's just so important in terms of accuracy. It's one of those things that I've seen some guys develop it as time has gone on, but it's one of those things usually is something that people have. It's innate, and there's anticipation, there's timing, there's touch, there's understanding body language. These are all the things that I think are hard to quantify, and so that's one thing we really look for in quarterbacks. And I think you've seen some of the location, and another part of it is being able to do it even though when you see it, can you mechanically make the throw when you need to? And Julian can. You've seen that. So there's more to it than just that, but we've seen him do that in practice time and time again, and that's a good sign for a young quarterback.
Right here to Jeff Gilbert.
Coach, running game. How are you and Tyler assessing the run blocking at this point? And from that standpoint too, then we still going to see a lot of guys carrying the ball. Is that a thing you want?
Yeah. I think there's physical play going on. We got to keep building on that, and then figure as we continue to move forward where we see ourselves, and then as the season goes on, how do we stay ahead of the trends and make sure we have enough things that give us explosives. And there's a lot that goes into the run game. Everybody's involved with it. The wide receivers are involved with it. Tight ends are very much involved with it. Obviously the offensive line, but the running backs are involved with it, and making sure the timing and all those things are right. Again, I thought there was some physical runs in week one, not explosive. We wanted to be more explosive, and so that's what we're going to continue to work on.
Go over here to Andy Anderson.
Sticking with the blocking, 0 sacks allowed through 2 games. What's impressed you about the pass protection so far?
I think the ball's coming out on time, and I think that there's good timing there. We have to continue to figure out ways to get the ball, out of the quarterback's hand, but also, push the ball down the field without putting the quarterback at risk. But a big part of that is the work we put in during the week, challenging each other in some of the drills we just got out of, where there's great pass rush and great protection, and there's a timing element to it. There's a lot that comes with it, and even you wouldn't think about that. The back end is involved in much in pass protection, but we say all the time that when you're running a route on third down, you're running the route against the defensive end, not against the corner, because of the timing of it all. So, I think you'll hear me all the time if you're out of practice. Once it gets to about 2.5 seconds, I'm saying ball. The ball's got to come out, or it's got to get checked down, and the timing of all that is important. So those are all things we're working on, and guys are working up front to get better. We know that there's all kinds of different things that can come in some terms of situations, twists, blitzes, different ways to isolate guys in one-on-one matchups. There's just a lot that goes with it. So we have to continue to get better, and that's the focus, is getting better. I mentioned to the guys today that when you see somebody young, whether it's a brother or a relative or just someone who's young, and you don't see them for 6 months or a year, and you see them and you're like, wow, you've really grown up. And when you're practicing every day, sometimes you don't see the growth, you don't see the progress, but it's there. As long as we continue to work and get better, and we're making sure that the hardest day is today, and we keep getting better, then we'll have a chance to continue to grow, even though sometimes we don't feel it. And that's with everybody, and including the passing game.
Right next door, Stefan.
The one punt you guys did have was Nick out there against Grambling, I believe.
Say it again, sorry.
The punt against Grambling.
Yeah.
Nick out there.
Yeah.
What is your assessment of that situation, and is it still an ongoing battle between those two?
Joey's the starter, but Nick is making progress, and it's amazing when you get out there and you get a live punt, and then he hit some bombs yesterday. So we'll keep a close eye on it, but right now Joey's our punter.
Go to Jack from the Lantern.
Hi. So you have a lot of new faces on the defensive line. How would you rate their performance so far through 2 games?
Yeah, there's a handful of guys that have graded out champions and others that haven't, and that's 80% is how we look at it. And so, if I always say if guys are grading out, continue to enhance it. If you don't, we got to get it fixed and get it better. I think that there's a lot of growth there. We're looking to develop depth. and we're looking to have production. But I think like everybody else, we're all trying to get better right now. It's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, and so we just got to keep working at it. But there's definitely been some really good play.
Front and center, Tim May.
Yeah, Ryan, on your way to third base, you coached on some teams that were building, rebuilding, things like that. I mean, 2012, that Temple team went against some formidable opponents and stuff. When you're preparing for those kind of games, I'm putting you in Ohio U's shoes.
Yep.
What were you trying to get done there? What were you trying to find? Weaknesses, etc. How did you get your team, I guess, ready for something like that?
Yeah, you play it one play at a time. I think you look at it as an opportunity to build confidence, to know that you're going up against a really good opponent. That is an opportunity to build confidence, knowing that, sort of like us in week 1 playing Texas. What an opportunity for us to build confidence, knowing that, we can play with, at the time, was the number 1 team in the country. Where are we right now? And, this is a team that went toe-to-toe with Rutgers, went toe-to-toe, obviously, with West Virginia and won the game. So they're going to come in here with a lot of confidence. They're going to, I'm sure, take it one play at a time, try to get the game in the fourth quarter, and then go from there. But it's an opportunity more than anything to, again, build confidence for the rest of the season. So, and they're well coached and have a good team. So we know that these guys are going to come in and play real hard.
All right, we've got time for 2 more. We'll go to Bill Rabinowitz and then Austin. Bill?
Davis Naganosin's good start to the season. Obviously, guys are doing ball the problem last year and not bumped up. How much has gone into that?
Yeah, well, they're going to happen again, I'm sure, but we certainly don't want as many as we had last year, and that's been the focus. And I think even on that 4th down play that he made in the end zone in week 1, I mean, you could see there was a concerted effort for him to not make contact there. But he's still going to be aggressive. That's who he is, and I think he's learning to control that aggression. We've had different things that Coach Walton's done with boxing gloves and things like that. I think that's all coaching, and we want guys who are aggressive. It's our job as coaches to help coach them to with the technique and those things. And so he's worked really hard in the off season. He's one of our most competitive guys out there. I think when he came here, he changed that room along with Tim Walton. Because of just the overall competitiveness of that group and the edginess of that group. And he's not a man of many words, but he lets his play do the talking, and he's a huge leader for us, and we're going to need him here.
Last one, Austin.
Ryan, what did you think of the look on Caleb's interception there with him starting up there on the line of scrimmage? And how much more do you think Matt and Caleb can get to with what both of their defensive IQs are?
Yeah. One of the things Matt said to me was, we got some smart guys here, and I think he kind of said it with a smile on his face because, he can do a lot of different things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right thing to do. Just because guys can handle it doesn't mean we need to be all over the place. We need to do what we think is best to win the game. That being said, the thing to me about Caleb was after the play, we talked, and he verbalized everything that went on in that play. He was anticipating everything about it. So that's who he is. And then his approach rubs off on others. Sonny's that way. And you're seeing Jalen McClain, and, you see Davison, you see Jermaine, you see all these guys, Lorenzo coming in early to get extra film work and put the work in with Tim and Matt. And that's what winning football is. And if we can continue to build that as our routine, and that can be who we are, it'll give us a chance to reach our goals. But like I said before, it's great when your best players are your hardest workers, and they're the most professional. It's probably the best way to put it when it comes to Caleb.
Actually, sorry, just one final one with Julian.
Ryan, mechanically, with Julian, you've remarked a few times how quick he gets the ball out of his hands. For somebody who's going from the high school level to college where the game is faster, how valuable is having that? What's the value of having that?
Every quarterback is different. Like you're saying, when you think about the quarterbacks we've had here, you go to different guys. Everybody's had different mechanics and a different style. And what you try to do is, as you put together the offense, is figure out, all right, what fits his skill set, and then you try to take the pieces and put it all together. We're still kind of in that process, but when you can get the ball out of your hand quickly and accurately, as you know, it just makes the offense move faster. And, we say all the time, like those throws within about 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, those are like long handoffs. And, there's there's a big difference when I'm running full speed on, let's just say, a bubble or a drag route, and that ball's right here, and I can catch it in stride, as opposed to having to stop my feet and have to catch it. Like, those are all the hidden yards that we talk about, and that's a challenge for all quarterbacks. But it's easy to see that he gets the ball out fast, and we'll continue to figure out what he does best. I think we're getting a good feel for that as he's getting on the field and playing more.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.